My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Invincible Season 4. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But if we're talking about my favorite TV shows of all time, Arcane League of Legends will forever and always be my number one pick. In terms of my second favorite, I do know there's more League of Legends shows coming out, so this could change in the future, but for now, it's Invincible. It is the best comic book show ever, and I just love everything about it. I love these characters. Like, Invincible has become one of my favorite superheroes. Like, it's Spider Man, Invincible, Batman. Those are the golden three for me. I love the story, I love the world building, I love how psychological it is. It's emotional and brutal, and I just love this show so very much. And season 4 might be my favorite season so far. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And I say this without exaggeration, but Stephen Yeun is giving one of my favorite performances ever in this show. He is so likable and charming and funny as Mark, but he also brings real emotional depth. You can tell this is a character who has gone through hell and is continuing through hell, and he's just trying his best, and he's so exhausted and over it, and it's just a brilliant performance. Then we've got J.K. Simmons, who is doing some of his best work here as well. They give so much depth to Omni-Man, and I really love how this season focuses more on his redemption, and for my money, I think it's being done incredibly well. Gillian Jacobs does a great job as Eve. I do have one complaint about her character, but some of her voice work early on, where she's crying about losing her powers, is so powerful, and she just fully delivers. Christian Convery as Oliver does a great job. He is so much more likable and cool in this season. Sandra Oh is incredible. That scene where she's punching Nolan and she breaks down in tears is so powerful, and she just elevates this character at every turn. Lee Pace is phenomenal as Thrag, and I just really love this character. I love how terrifying he is. I love how much he cares for his planet and his people. And I love how by the end of this season, like, he's still the villain, but, like, I can't say I hate him. I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and he's doing it as honorable and as respectful as possible. And there's just so many layers to this character. Well, I can't wait to see more of him. He's truly just exceptional here. Then we've got Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who in just a couple episodes has become one of my favorite villains as Conquest. Like, this guy is scary and mean, and he's such a menace, and I love how the show gives him a bit more depth. Just truly phenomenal work. Then we've got Seth Rogen, who does do a pretty good job as Alan. We've got Walton Goggins, who isn't in this season as much, but he's still great. We've got Peter Cullen, who it's really cool to hear Optimus as this character. He does a great job here, and I like how he's the good guy, but like, if he didn't die, he would have become another bad guy as well. Just a very interesting character. Zoe Dutch does a pretty good job as Tech Jacket. Tatiana Maslany does a good job. Cliff Curtis as Paul. He's he does a pretty good job. He's not in this season all too much though. Ross, Markland, and Grey Griffin do a great job, and I can't wait to see where their characters go next. Like, I'm so curious to what's going to happen next time we see Monster Girl and Warbot. Oh, Rex, I should say. And I love that one scene where he's in the shower and he's just talking about how, we keep defeating these villains, but they keep coming back and it's just not working. They're barely in this season, but they left a real impression. And I love Mark Hamill's one scene as... No, he's in 2 episodes. He's great here. I love how after he's done talking to Nolan, he's just like, ugh, like I can breathe again. So everybody does a terrific job here. And this season, more so than the other seasons, is very story focused. Like, I guess season 1 is about Mark getting his powers and eventually facing off against his dad, but it's still very episodic up until the end. Season 2 is about Mark coming to terms with what happened and trying to not be like his dad before he faces off against Angstrom Levy. Still pretty episodic, I would say. Season 3 is about Mark trying to be stronger for the Viltrumite War as he's dealing with Cecil's bullshit and eventually Conquest. Maybe the most episodic season, I would say. Yeah, I would say that. But this one, like, you've got the first 3 episodes, but then the rest are the Viltrum War. So this one does feel like it's telling a more cohesive story, and I like how this season explores the characters. It begins and Mark just feels worse than he ever has before, and by the end of this season, he feels 100 times worse. I like how Oliver is kinda humbled throughout this season. Once again, I love Nolan's redemption arc. I love Thrag and everything there. You've got Eve's pregnancy, which I'll talk about something later on. You've got Debbie and Paul's relationship. You've got Mark dealing with the fact that he's had to kill somebody and he almost killed again. There's so much going on and it's all done so incredibly well. And what I really love about this season is how at the beginning of the show, it felt like the beginning of the story, but this season kind of recontextualizes the show, where now it feels like we're in the middle of a much larger story. And I love how they give the Viltrumites real depth, and how the Scrooge virus just completely screwed them over. And, it kind of actually made me sympathetic towards them. And there's that kind of more complexity that elevates this show. Like, not only do you get Nolan's redemption, but you also come to understand him better and how he was raised and what his life was like beforehand. He was still a bad guy, but I don't know, there's just so much depth and layers to everything going on, and I just love it. And I love how so much of this season is about Mark's willpower and his love for his family. That is what motivates him to take out Conquest. And by the way, that scene where Conquest is pulling out his guts, crazy. I've seen a lot of disgusting shit in movies, and that really got to me. Just how long it goes on for, and the sound, just, ugh. But this season by the end is also about self-control. I love how the big final battle is Mark having to control himself and accept to Thrag's demands. And I love how this season ends with, like, the Veltrum planet got destroyed, and now they're on Earth, and they're going to repopulate. Like, Mark lost. There's no way around it. And I love how throughout this show, Mark has gotten stronger and stronger, and he's even taken out Conquest. And because of his victories, Earth is now in a very dangerous position. You know, it's Thrag even said it. He's become the savior of the Viltrum race, even though he wasn't willing to be. And that to me is very interesting. And well, I should mention the scene where Viltrum gets destroyed is just awesome. One of the best animated sequences of the season. I do love how brutal this show can be. It never pulls its punches. I do love the soundtrack choices, especially if I get high early on. And we won, and we won, and we won. Great song, great scene. I love the use of Clementine right before they go off on their adventure. And my favorite usage of a song so far in this show is Fragments from the Decade in the final episode. When Mark is just flying around this and that song is playing, like, it just has real emotional weight behind it. But I do got some issues. The first one is the Hell episode sucked. Not only is it boring, but they just turned Hell into a generic place and Satan into a generic character. So the mythology really does suck there. And I didn't like the fact that Eve talks about how she got an abortion, and Mark is more mad at himself for not being there. Look, I'm strongly against abortion. I do think it's evil, and the appropriate response there is anger. So I feel like that could have been handled better. And okay, let's just address the elephant in the room. I'm okay with the animation in this show. I think it looks good. Sometimes it looks great, but sometimes it does look bad. Sometimes I do wish they put more effort in. There's a Viltrumite who just vanishes in one shot. Mark's face turns into Paul's face for 1 second. That one scene of Alan facing off against those two Viltrumites is a very clumsy fight scene. And look, I'm glad we get this show every year, but I do wish they hired more animators, and maybe releasing it every year and a half could be good as well. I'm not saying wait 2 or 3 years, but just put a little bit more work in it. Give it some more fluidity. But I still love this show. Like, it could have been a 10 out of 10, but those issues make it a 9 out of 10. I love these characters. I love the story. It's emotional. It's brutal. It's so compelling. It's psychological. And like, the final episode just made me feel so much dread of what's to come, and I cannot wait. So I'm giving Invincible Season 4 a 9 out of 10. By the way, Thrag and Conquest have become 2 of my favorite villains ever. Just barely in this show so far, but they have left a real impression. But Invincible Season 4, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.